Hey everybody, I'm back. Ready to get back on the road to the No Name Nationals. So this is what my son gets to do on his day off of school. We're converting the underhood wiring from the 89 Dodge pickup that we're working on from the factory fuel injection to traditional Mopar electronic ignition and a carburetor. Now eventually it will get some kind of an aftermarket fuel injection system, hopefully an Edelbrock ProFlow 4 because I like the idea of it being a true port injection. But maybe we'll go with a aftermarket throttle body like a Holly Sniper. Now what would you say if somebody gave you that and a sheet of paper and said, figure it out, boy? I gotta say I'm a little bit hesitant to give him the wiring job. I really like wiring. When I got to redo the wiring in my old car, it was some of the most enjoyable work that I was able to do. On my Duster, I restored the factory harness, took every little bit of sheathing off of it, went wire by wire, checked everything out for nicks and breaks and scratches. Everything actually turned out really good. I didn't have to replace all that much. Replaced a few of the Packard 56 connectors and stuff like that, but really most of it was pretty good. Now I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, but when I go through a wiring harness, this is how I do it. What I did is as I removed the inner electrical tape from this wiring harness, now this is on a snowmobile, it's not on a car, but realistically it's the same crap, right? So every time I come to a junction, I tie off all the junction points with cheap tie wraps so that the wiring harness maintains its shape. Then, as you're wrapping it back up, you remove the tie wraps, keep everything nice and tight. If the wiring harness retains its shape, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to get back into the place where you took it out of. Now this particular harness is getting wrapped up with traditional electrical tape, and then it'll get covered with that cheap ass split loom like on Chevy cars. That's what the snowmobile came with, so that's what I put it back as. When I redid the harness in my Duster, I tried to make it as close to like the traditional Mopar wiring harness. So what I actually did is I wrapped it in electrical tape. It's just a cloth adhesive tape. It provides a fair decent amount of toughness and resistance to abrasion and whatnot. It actually works really well. Turned out good. It's pretty cheap. I was really happy with the way it turned out. Now with the wiring I did on the truck, I didn't bother doing any of that because it's all going to be totally different than it was stock. It's not going to have the factory computer, and so many of those wires were inputs and outputs for the factory computer. They're all going to go to different locations. A lot of those wires, they'll be reused. The point where they pass through the bulkhead will be reused, but both ends of the wire will go to different locations within the system. Some will be the same. A lot of it is actually very similar to the same, but there's a lot of it that's going to be quite different. This is my way of doing it. Hopefully it helps. If not, then you just wasted 2 minutes of your life, I guess. It may not look like much, but each one of those yellow tags is progress. It's going to make it a whole heck of a lot easier to figure out what's going under the hood. It's nice when you can reuse so much of the factory wiring, and lots of the stuff going through the bulkhead will be repurposed as well. I just couldn't wait to get rid of that old piece of crap 89 computer because honestly, there's no modifying that thing, and it never gave me a whole lot of confidence when I was driving the truck. It would just randomly stop and die. You'd have to let it cool off, turn the key, and it might run for a day, might run for a week, might run for an hour. But I'm glad it's going to be gone. Now, I know the problem with that old truck wasn't necessarily the computer itself. Actually, what I figured it out to be was the pickup and the distributor. Now that it's got the 360 Magnum in there, and hopefully eventually that thing's going to get a camshaft upgrade as well. I'm really looking forward to putting some aftermarket fuel injection of some description on there. I'd really like to get the Edelbrock ProFlow 4 because it is actually truly a port injection, but I might be happy with just something with like the Holly Sniper, something like that. Either way, whatever I do with this wiring, I'm going to keep it in mind of what I got going on for the future because it's way easier to make provisions for it now than to try and tear it all apart and redo it all over again a second time. Wish me luck. So that's it for now. I need some inner fenders and a rad support before I can do much more wiring under there. Remember, this isn't intended to be a how-to. This is just how I'm doing it. If you like what you see, maybe subscribe to the channel, give me a like. Either way, have a great day. Talk to you soon.